Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of the Ink Happiness. As we, scratch towards the fag end of the year, I thought it would be a good idea to talk about the state of fountain pens and the industry and what all are the things that we should look forward to in the coming years. Now, but before I proceed, I want to sincerely thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I'm touched by the because we have touched at Inked Happiness the magic figure of 5,000 subscribers. It wouldn't have been possible without your love and support, and we are indeed humbled. So, thank you, friends. Thank you again. Now, going back to the topic, often people ask me what is the size of the market? What is the market size for fountain pens in India in terms of rupees, in terms of numbers, in terms of whatever? Now, the point is, I don't have an answer to that. I don't have an answer to that because almost no one has the exact figures because no such study has been done that I am aware of, at least. Anyway, but to provide you with guesstimates, to like educated estimates, the Indian writing instrument industry is about 2,500 crores. Now, I am not sure about these figures. I have talked to many people who have, indicated such as some. That's why I'm telling you. I have no way of verifying these numbers and I don't stand by them. But, just to put things in the right context, in a general context, I'm telling you it's about 2,500 crores. Now, this market is overwhelmingly dominated by ballpoint pens and gel pens. Almost the entire market will be of ballpoint and gel pens, and the fountain pens, experts claim, constitute less than 1% or so. Not even 1%, way below 1%. So you can understand what is the kind of market that we are talking about, what is the kind of size, what are the kind of numbers that we are talking about. Now, that said, what are the characteristics of this market? Especially now, when I talk about this market, I primarily talk about Indian markets, but there are some instances where we will be talking about the global scene as well. Now, this market is fragmented. It's totally dominated. The fountain pen market, it's fragmented with very small players, micro and mini players, one-man operations, two-man operations. Most of it is like that. Now, globally, as we see and as we move into 2026, there is a move towards CNC machining and CNC made pens. Now, CNC machines and CNC, the setup would cost money. Most of our players who make fountain pens here do not have access to that kind of resources. So this will be a problem area for Indian manufacturers as we go forward. The second global trend that's happening, and many people from around the world, from who are associated with the industry, have told me that sustainability is going to play a more and more bigger role in the fountain pen world. Sustainability, why? Because fountain pens are a sustainable writing option, and taking that argument or taking that forward, most of the companies will try and make pens that are sustainable, that use sustainable materials and things like that. There's another very distinct trend that's happening, that's visible around the world, is that uh, fountain pens are moving more and more inching upwards towards the premium segment, and this premium pricing is being led by connoisseurs, people like fountain pen lovers, who are buying uh, more and more expensive pens. Like the general users, the students who consume a lot of pens, which constitute the lower end of the market, now that is shrinking, and the higher end of the market. In terms of numbers, you will not be able to equate the two, because it's like a pyramid, and the top end is, of course, small. But in value terms, the top end is expanding. So this is another thing that you should keep in mind. Now, trends to watch. Unfortunately, it's the lower end of the market where all the action is in India. Now, India and we Indians, generally, we follow the herd. We have a herd mentality. Now, when people start and people always try to address the bulk, the numbers, people try to go for numbers, quantity, they're trying to put quantity over quality. Now that's a separate thing, but let's focus on quantity, and this lower end is where the action is. But this is also the end, and I'm talking about these 100 rupee pens that have flooded the market with converter cartridges, which are imported and then packed with by Indian brands, are being sold even out of grocery stores. Now this end of the market will see the maximum amount of action, because and the fight is going to be bloody, and most of the manufacturers, Indian manufacturers who were in this market, up to say 500 or say probably even the 1,000 rupee pens, these will face very stiff competition from imports, and I will not be surprised if there is blood on the street. So this is the segment to watch for. Now, if that segment is where the 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 genocide will happen, the mid segment will become more and more boring. Why? Because a resin pen with a Jowo nib and a Schmidt uh, converter with an imported clip has become so common, that there are at least 5 manufacturers today in the who are very visible, especially in the social medias, who are making the same pen. Now, how many of these similar pens is an average fountain pen lover going to buy? There's no difference, because the writing pleasure is the same. The Jowo nibs are absolutely standardized. They're as romantic as Germans. So they are high performance, they are extremely well made, blah, 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 but they're boring. So this mid segment is also, unless of course, at least one of them buckles the trend and starts making or going into areas where there will be more excitement. They can offer more excitement through their pens. This is going to be very boring, and it will continue to be boring. in 2026. Now, what are the threats? The biggest threat, of course, will be from AI. This will be worse than the dot pen or the digital, uh, deluge that we faced. I mean, we from the world of fountain pens faced. So AI will be a huge threat to the market, as more and more people will just stop writing, and they will even stop thinking. They'll, put the work, unload the work onto AI. So that is threat number one. Number two will be cheap imports. Number three will be other writing options like dot pens, digital devices, digital writing implements, gel pens, pencils, whatever. Now, another thing that you have to consider, and please keep it in mind, is that the rupee is devaluating. If the rupee is devaluating, if the rupee is losing its value and it's consistently falling, that means, imports will be more and more expensive. So that's not actually a threat. That's a very positive sign. If you are exporting, you will be exporting. Your exchange value will work in your favor, as opposed to that of the importers. But still, normally there is a 40+% margin in fountain pens. People who import have work on better margins, I have been told. And so there's a lot of cushion. So import will continue to be a threat. So even if the rupee devalues. Now, what are the opportunities? The biggest opportunity is, of course, you can scale up. You can scale up, you can address particular niches in the market, and you can expand geographically. Now, there are so many companies in the last couple of years. I can remember, I can immediately tell you about two companies. One is Stakes, the other is Magna Carta, and the third one, of course, is Urushi India. All these three companies, they have, moved out. They have moved out, they are exporting well, and their products are being well received in Europe and America. That is what I am being told. And, so they are finding their niches. More and more Indian companies should work for such niches. Can Write is a huge exporter. Click has some exports. So these companies, if they, instead of trying to fight it out in the lower end of the Indian market, if they add value and move up the ladder and start exporting, I think they're going to do better. They're going to do consistently better. And I think 2026 will be a key year to watch, because these companies, at least some of them from the market will, look at the trends and try to make these moves. But the player to watch in 2026, well, the usual global players will be there, the German pen makers, the Japanese pen makers, some from Europe, they will be there. But the player to watch will be Schaefer. Why? Schaefer is now an Indian company, and it is in extremely smart hands. Mr. Nikhil Ranjan, who owns William Penn, who in turn owns Schaefer's now, is a very shrewd businessman. But more than that, he takes a long-term view. So he's going to invest, and he has the resources. He will invest in creating the brand. He will invest in working with the legacy of Schaefer's and taking it forward. As a matter of fact, I had a long discussion with him, And some of the plans that he shared with me, unfortunately, I cannot share these plans with you right now because I promised him. These plans, mark my words, if even a fraction of these plans are put into play or are achieved, you know, there will be a huge difference. So the company to watch for in 2026 and ahead will be Schaefer. Mark my word. Now, coming to the conclusion, what do we say? These are exciting times ahead. Uh, are they? Well, most of the Indian fountain pen industry is absolutely brand averse. They have not created their brands, at least not in the last 5, 7, 10 years that I've been, following them very closely. They have not really done anything to create their brands, except having sporadic presence in the social media, which they think can be got free. And they're there in the social media because it's free. So they don't have any genuine long-term plans. Their research and development is virtually non-existent, and they have not. They're like frogs in the wells, uh, which refuse to look at the world around, world beyond their village boundaries, beyond the well. So I don't know what kind of excitement these companies will throw up, but I'm not very confident, to be honest. But we'll keep our fingers crossed. Let's see. At least some good work is being done in the sense that the old ebonite fountain pens are being revived. Canwright has done wonders with the nibs, but still, something, the clips that attach the pen to your pocket. There are no major clip manufacturers in India, and the cost doesn't work up. So the manufacturers tell me, the pen manufacturers tell me, and the metal manufacturers, people who are capable of making clips, they say that we never get orders that are big enough to justify such a production run. So whatever, that's a problem, and I'm ashamed to say this, and it's the same with ebonite. These ebonite rods, there are not many good rod manufacturers. That's why when you talk about ebonite rods, the first thing that comes to your mind is Nico ebonite, so which is in Japan. Now, why not? Like, we are talking about a thriving fountain pen industry. We are going places every 3 months. We are having a pen show in one part of the world, the country or the other, and still we don't manufacture our own rods and own clips and own accoutrements in good enough numbers at decent prices. Forget about making pens that have new filling systems, that have new designs, that are capable of standing apart in a crowd. So I don't know how exciting the times will be, but let's keep our fingers crossed. And what do I say? I say thank you again. So what do you think? Please comment, like, and subscribe. We wouldn't have come this far. We've come to, as I started this video with, by saying that we have now got 5,000 subscribers. We couldn't have come here without your love and affection. And I'm grateful to you. I'm really humbled. And, I'm it feels so, I don't know how to say it. It feels good, and it feels so loved and so wanted that at least some of you regularly watch my videos and interact with me and and help me in my crusade to make fountain pens more popular. I don't sell fountain pens. I don't sell inks. I'm not a seller. I'm just a collector, a small time collector with a few pens here and there. I am someone who's fascinated by the history of the fountain pen, the development of fountain pen through the ages, over the last 200 years to be specific, over the last, say, 100 years in India. I'm a small person putting my little effort into this huge world. And I'm so grateful that, my insignificance notwithstanding, so many of you have been so kind to me. So thank you again. We will meet again on another episode next week. Please write your comments and please tell me what you think about any of the points that I mentioned in this video. Please tell me so that we can have a conversation. And if you have any questions, please put them forward. Even if I don't have the answers, I can always talk to the experts. I can always talk to people in the industry and get back to you to the best of my ability and knowledge. So please write, please share, please help us take my crusade forward. And I hope, someday you will join us and the world will live as one as fountain pen lovers. Thank you.